All right, hello and welcome to the online Microsoft Excel quick little tutorial to student gradebooks. This is intended as a quick little overview of some of the features of Microsoft Excel. I'm not sure that some of you actually got through I'm not sure that some of you got out of the assignment what I wanted you to get out of the assignment. So real quick, what I'd like to do here in Excel is just go through a real basic gradebook calculation so you can see what Excel really is meant to do. We're going to start off by typing the word student in A1, and by the way, I'm in Excel 2010 here. This will work in any version of Excel. It may look a little bit different, just the icons that I'm using up here at the top of the screen. So, but this should be pretty similar. So, and then just in A2, I'm going to start listing some students. So this will be Charlie Brown, Peppermint Patty, Linus Van Pelt, and Woodstock. All right. And in column B, I'm going to put 5 assignments. So I'll do assignment 1, and then we'll throw some grades in here. All right. You can make up these grades. These can be anything that you want to. It doesn't really matter to me. We'll put a 5 for Woodstock because he's a bird. What I'd like to have in column C, D, E, and so on, I'd like to have assignment 2, assignment 3, assignment 4, but I don't really feel like typing all of that. One of the features of Microsoft Excel is called the fill handle, and in the lower right-hand corner of any box, you'll notice that we turn from a little white cross to a little black cross, and by doing that, what it means is it's going to automatically fill those remaining cells. All right? And so all I did was click and drag on that to move it over to those adjacent cells. Right? It's a nice, easy way of continuing a pattern in Excel. So just to demonstrate, if I wanted to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and continue on from there, I could. Even something like January, that's enough. Right? Notice you only have to type really one word in the pattern, and then it'll just kind of repeat itself. Even something like even numbers. It's smart enough to continue that, or dates. As soon as you type in a couple of dates, get the pattern going. So it's a nice, real easy way of demonstrating Excel's kind of smartness, if you will, its capabilities. One of the things that you'll notice is that in this column here, I've got a whole bunch of number signs, which means that the column is too small to fit all the information that's in there. As a matter of fact, you can tell here from columns A, B, C, D, E, F that the columns are just not wide enough. A couple of ways to solve that. Number one, you can move the cursor between columns H and I and just start dragging it open until you can see everything you want to see. Or alternatively, you can select the entire sheet, and then in between columns A and B, right here, I get a different cursor, and I'm going to double click right there. And what you'll notice is that kind of makes all the columns nice and pretty. All right. I don't need any of the sample data here, so I'm just going to select it by clicking and dragging and then hitting the delete key on the keyboard. And I'm going to fill in some other assignments for Charlie Brown, Peppermint Patty, Linus, and Woodstock. Go ahead and do this as well. Again, these numbers can be anything, doesn't have to be anything special. On this particular assignment, we'll give Woodstock the highest grade there, and then finally something like this. So most of you in the first assignment did this correctly. What we need to do now is work with a little bit of formulas. So in this case, I've got 5 assignments here. I would like to know what the total amount of points is on these assignments. So if I go total points, and I say, show me how many points Charlie Brown got. Maybe these are not percentages. Maybe these are points, right? So something like this, I can do 105 points, right? What I'll do is I'll click on the place where I'd like the calculation to take place. I'm going to go up here to Auto Sum. I'm going to tap it once. Notice it outlines everything that it's going to sum up. I'm going to hit Enter on the keyboard, and it says Charlie Brown has 355 points. I'm going to do the same thing for Peppermint Patty. You can also tap it again instead of hitting Enter. And again, I'd like that pattern to kind of continue down for Linus Van Pelt, for Woodstock, for any other students that I might have. So I'm going to use that little fill handle to complete the pattern. And so now these are my total points. You can also call that points earned. The next column will be points possible. So if they earned 355 points, 305 points, how many points were actually possible to earn? And we're going to use this to calculate the percentage. So out of this, let's say that there are 375 points possible for the entire class. That was the max that they could have earned. At this point, I'm going to calculate a percentage. And the percentage is calculated by taking this and dividing it by that. So in this case, it'd be 355 divided by 375. So what you can do, if you're old school, is you can say, okay, 355 divided by 375. That gives me almost a 95% in the class. But I don't want to just type 95% in there, because then if Charlie Brown turns in assignment 1 again and gets a higher grade, then guess what? Yeah, I've got to manually recreate that whole calculation, which is not something that I want to do. So with any formula in Excel, you start off with the equals key. So you just type a little equals and then start clicking. So I'm going to take points earned divided by, which is that little key right there, that / the points possible, and then hit enter. And you'll notice that this comes and matches that exactly. I'll do it one more time before I do the pattern. Hit equals this divided by that. And again, select these, pull the pattern down, right? You can see what's going on there. Now these percentages are kind of messy. What I would like those to look like is a nice pretty percentage with a couple of decimal points. So I'm going to go up here to general and change that up to percentage. And you'll notice that these little buttons here can give me more or less precision depending on how much I'm looking for. 2 decimal points is usually sufficient. Okay. The other thing that I can ask for on each assignment is show me the class average. And so in this case, I'll take an average of that and extend the pattern out to there. You can do the whole precision thing with regular numbers as well. It doesn't have to be a percentage. So these are not percentages, say these are points, right? So the average here was 30 points, taking Woodstock's 90 points into account. All right. At this point, I can do other things like conditional formatting. I can do regular formatting. A lot of you just kind of left it as this, and that was it. One of the things that you want to do with any Excel sheet is format it so it looks nice and pretty. One of the things that I like to do with any column heading is to take it, make it bold and maybe a little larger. Now sometimes that will require you to readjust your columns. So again, select all and double click. Your other option there is to make the column a little shorter and to turn something on called text wrap. So here's how that works. I'm going to right click on this cell and go to format. If you're trying to do anything in Excel and you're not sure what to do, do a right click format. I'm going to do a alignment tab here, and then I'm going to tap this little box that says wrap text and watch what happens. So notice at that point what it'll do is push the number 1 onto a different column. Now here that's not such a big deal, but something like points earned, really that column only needs to be that big for that number. It's eating up a lot of horizontal space here. So what I'm going to do to that entire row is select it, right click format, just doing this one more time, tap the box that says wrap text and hit OK. And at that point then what you'll notice is I can fit a whole heck of a lot more on the page, which means that as you're printing this off, it's not going to extend onto another page, things like that. I can take all this and center it. Now that looks nice and pretty. Sometimes you'll want a couple of grid lines in there, so I'll select that. And Excel has some really nice and pretty kind of automatic grid lines in here. Just kind of to show you those. And the nice thing about the table formatting then is that you've got some searching and some filtering and things like that. That's outside the scope of what I need right this very second. So all I really want in here are some grid lines. I'm going to select that. And you can do grid lines one of 2 ways. You can pull this guy down and do all borders. and you'll notice I have grid lines now. The other thing that you can do is to select it, do a right click, and then do a format, and go back over here to borders. It gives you a little bit more control of what's going on between the cells. For example, if I wanted dashed lines in between those cells as horizontal lines, something like that, this is the place where I would do it. And so you'll notice now that I've got the dashed lines with the grid lines all around. So I'm going to pause there and let you finish and come back to video 2. But this is the first kind of step, if you will, in making an Excel gradebook.